Welcome everyone to the Jesus, Frying Pan Podcast, number one pop culture podcast in my apartment complex. Yeah, I can take that title. Hopefully, next thing I know, I have like Joe Rogan as my like downstairs neighbor, and it's like, well, I tried, and that's all that matters. But hello, everyone. How are we doing? What's new? What's exciting? Please tell me. Just talk in your car. Talk to me through the radio. I'm listening right now. Just pause it and then, replay it, and then I'll be like, oh, that's great to hear. Or you can skip past that and you'll be like, I'm sorry to hear that, but it'll get better. But it's me. My name is Dan. I host this podcast, believe it or not. And today we are talking about things. We actually have a special guest on the show. A reoccurring guest, if you will. Reoccurring as in they've been on maybe once or twice ever. So you'll hear from them. Help give some insight on a couple of topics that I do have for us today. But before that, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. This is going up on Christmas Eve. So if you celebrate that, we made it. Who'd have thought? Not me. To be honest, it's been a long fucking year. And, we are at the home stretch. Now, don't think that just because the year changes, everything's going to change, because that's probably not going to happen. But, it's, people get like that little fresh start feeling, and that's good enough, I guess. But, as for me, I'm doing well. Excited for Christmas. I don't even know if I'd say excited. Still doesn't even feel like Christmas, but it's just kind of is what it is at this point. Just kind of, I don't know. Maybe if I like drive around, look at lights, if they're up, maybe that'd get me in the mood. Maybe, I don't know. And it's interesting because like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are going to be like in the 50s and rainy, so it's just the exact opposite of the Christmas feel. It's just a mess. I mean, this year's a mess, but we all know that. It's just kind of how it is, sadly. But regardless, welcome to the show. Happy to see you. Hope you're doing well. Let's just talk about some stuff. I mean, number one on the list is we got some Stimmy checks back on the way. A little 600 on the way for all you independents out there. And if you are a parent, you'll get 600 plus 600 per kid. So that's pretty good. Now, is it enough? Probably not. And I will say this came out like last night where Trump was like, no, 600 is not enough. We're going to try and bump it up to 2K. And it's like, sure, that's nice. But like, what's the catch, man? Like, I don't trust you. There's got to be something else to it. I know you're not doing this out of the kindness of your heart because you're kind of like the Grinch. But like year round. It's just, I don't know. It's weird. And we're not going to be too political, obviously. But it's supposed to be, like 600 for independence. It is, almost 1 trillion coronavirus relief bill. So hefty money out there, but a lot of the debate on it is 600 per individual enough? And 9 times out of 10 I'd say no. And the people that are passing these I guess like stimulus checks are not really in a position where money matters to them, because they're mostly making like upwards to 6 figures, probably well over 6 figures. So it's just like there seems to be like a huge disconnect between people making laws and like people working, like all that jazz. It's just a mess. It's honestly just a mess. But I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess, at the end of the day. So it's kind of hard to complain about it. But also, there are unemployment benefits, so for all my unemployed people out there, we eating good. We're living. We're doing well. Sorta. Not really at all. We're trying our best. But the main reason why I bring this up, because I don't do politics too well unless it's needed, but it's kind of big. I mean, it's definitely big for a lot of people, but it's also the fact that it's a start, but it's just not enough, man. It's just not enough. I mean, you got people like, we got families of 3 and say like single moms or like single dads with 3 kids, and say they lose their job because of the virus, or can't afford to pay stuff, and it's like they really need help, and like that's all they get. And then the people that are like, all right, 600 should be enough, you just have to budget it right, are in their mansions or in their really big houses, not having to really worry about these things. And it's interesting how we don't have, I don't know, the people like making these decisions don't really relate to it. It's just, there's just such a disconnect. It feels very off, but I mean, what can you do, really? I mean, it's not like we're rioting over this, because it's just like, we'll take it. And everyone's just kind of hoping that a vaccine comes in, fix everything up sooner rather than later. But it's probably looking like halfway through the year, maybe. That was the last thing I read, but obviously everything can change. That's just how it is. But I don't know. Interesting. I'm curious what other people think about it, because I mean, obviously, like, the way I view it is, it's a start, but it doesn't seem enough. It doesn't seem like these people should be making the decisions. But I guess then, like, who would be? I mean, I guess there's always like two sides to each coin, so it makes sense. So like, it's kind of hard to, what's the word? I guess fully understand it. Like, if you're not in it, it's hard to like really understand it. So like, I'm just looking at it from like an outsider's perspective, and I guess kind of a greedy perspective, if you will. But I don't know. I guess it depends how you view things. But yeah, there's always two sides to a coin, so you never really know. There's always like pros and cons to everything, and what outweighs what, and yada yada yada. You catch my drift. You get me. You get me. But see, a little side note, but I've switched into like Christmas jazz playlist, because I'm really trying to, feel it. I'm trying to get in the zone. I'm trying to get in the holiday spirit, if you will. I'm trying to, feel Christmassy, feel the holidays. Haven't yet, but it's fine. But stimulus check roll out soon. Trump's like, no, I want it to be more, so that's going to delay it. So who knows? Honestly, everything's just up in the air and kind of a mess. It just is what it is. But next little topic we got on the menu is there was I guess a list of like which YouTubers made the most money. And I just want to let you know that a 9-year-old is making a lot more money than you. There's a YouTuber kid named Ryan Kaji, or Ryan's World if you are interested in his channel, and he reviews toys, and he is making just something light, just a nice little 30 million this year. Now, if you I see, I don't know how to feel about this, because we've talked about this I think last year, because there was another, I don't know if it's the same kid. I think it was Ryan's Toys Review. So I don't know if he like changed the channel name or what. But we are very on the fence of like, is this kind of just using your kid and exploiting your kid? And I think it is. Like, obviously, if you're making 30 million a year, like, who fucking cares? But it's just the fact that like, I feel like the morals you're kind of instilling in your kid that early is very not the right thing to do. I don't know. I think the kid grows up very spoiled and greedy, but I guess I don't know how to view it. There was the whole thing of there was like a 6-year-old trying to join like an esports team, and he faked cheating or getting banned in his main game to like go viral off it. And it's like, this is a 6-year-old kid. There's no way he understands the concept of all these things. So obviously the parents are having a role in it, and it's like, you're kind of just teaching your kid like lying and what's the word? Deceiving? Yeah, like deceiving people is like an okay thing to do. Like, you want to really have your kid grow up thinking that? Not my cup of tea, but at the end of the day, like, these kids are making more money than me. These kids are making more than my parents. So it's like, I don't really have a fucking leg to stand on with this shit. It's just, I don't know. It just, I gotta accept it, I guess. If this 9-year-old's gonna be making $30 million a year, maybe I'll just make my kid just fucking, I don't know, review toys and that's it. And that's all he can do. And I'll just lock him in a basement. And the only time he comes out is when he wants to make a new YouTube video. And I'll just reap the rewards. Not actually. Don't do this with your kids, please. There's probably someone out there that's like, he's got on to something. No, I'm not. Don't worry. It's fine. But I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's just like one of the problems with like a lot of the kids growing up, because every kid that like gets a platform and I don't know, becomes famous on the internet always just like turns out to be shitty and like do things that like I guess they didn't learn as a kid is bad to do, is what it feels like. It's just, I don't know. It's a mess. Everything on the internet's a mess, so I mean, what can I expect? But yeah, just want to let you know there's a 9-year-old making $30 million and you are not. Granted, it's like the parents, but then it comes back to like, are they exploiting him? And yeah, when you view it that way, yeah, I think they are. But it's so crazy to me how much money is like in that shit. Because literally, like, I'd imagine, I'll be entirely honest, haven't watched a single video of Ryan's World, and I'm sorry. 9-year-old toy reviews just doesn't really appeal to me anymore. I don't know what it is. Maybe I've just lost touch with myself. But I imagine what happens is like these companies, they send him a toy and it's sponsored, so he gets paid just to review the toy, and then he makes the ad revenue from YouTube. And since he's a kid reviewing toys, it's going to be family friendly, so he doesn't have to worry about like sponsors not wanting to work with him or anything of that nature. So like that's probably the future, man. Maybe you just gotta like get a kid, because like it's always gonna be family friendly. It's a kid. He doesn't know these cuss words yet. You can't just say fuck all he wants. Well, maybe eventually, but like I don't know. I also wonder what it's like for this kid growing up in school. Like, other kids have to know, right? Like, they're gonna be like, oh, that's Ryan. He reviews the toys. He's got the coolest toys. They're like, do you think he gets bullied for it? Do you think kids are like jealous? I imagine the parents would be jealous too. They're probably like, all right, Caleb. I'm gonna put you down in front of this camera, and I want you to tell me what you think of this new Spider-Man action figure. I don't know, man. Maybe the kid's just got more charisma than I do and more spunk than I do, and I'm 22. Maybe he's just got it and I don't. I'm just like barking up the wrong tree. Maybe I should just be an accountant or something. Yeah, maybe this whole like podcasting, little content thing isn't for me. Maybe I'm just uninteresting. All right, here's the plan, guys. I stopped doing the podcast, right? I somehow find someone that wants to have a kid. But our whole goal is, this is a long-term plan, so like we got to be able to make it like 5 or 6 years, where we just we use our kid for like content, things of that nature. We make it so it's on him. Like we do we could be like the Ace family, if you know who they are. They just kind of like throw their kids on camera and they're like, all right, that's a YouTube video for the week. And then they like just got done constructing like $1 million mansion. Something light. This is a long-term plan. Like if anybody's thinking of doing this, sure, you can try it out. Let me know how it goes in like 9 years, but just know where you got it. Just make sure you shout me out. Remember me, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's so like I'm joking about it, but like it's so fucked up. It's such a fucked up thing to like joke about. I mean, I guess like it could be a lot worse. I'm not gonna go into detail, but it could be a lot worse. Don't think about it. Regardless. Oh shit. I don't get paid enough for this. I'm too funny all the time. It's crazy. Don't you agree? Regardless, one of the only real movies that came out this year was Wonder Woman 1984. And well, actually, I guess it comes out on Christmas, but the early reviews are in. And you can watch it on HBO Max, which is nice. A lot of Warner Brothers, I don't know if I talked about this, but Warner Brothers, like a lot of the movies they're coming out with for the next year at least, I think will be in theaters, but you can also buy them on HBO Max, so you can just watch it from home, which is very nice because I want to watch Dune when it comes out, because that looks very entertaining. I think it's sometime next year, I hope, but regardless, it's very interesting actually. It's kind of a shame because like I really miss the the joy of like going to a movie theater and like reclining in the chairs and like sitting with my friends. Really do miss that. So, Wonder Woman, not bad, but it's like every DC movie is kind of just not bad. Like literally every DC movie is in the bracket of like they're all like consistently like a 60, 70 kind of thing. Or they never get above 80, except for I guess Joker, if you consider that a DC movie. I mean, I guess it is 'cause it's Joker's their property, but it's a fact of like it's all just kind of there. They range from either like dog shit like Justice League to just it's watchable. It's not bad. It's a good time, but there's never like nothing is super good. Nothing is like miles above the rest. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. It's DC movies. Not much you can do about it, I guess. um, but I mean, I'm not going to stop anybody from wanting to watch Wonder Woman because it's a sequel of the first one. So I mean, if you like the first one, and the first one I will say is probably like one of the best DC movies if you don't include the animated movies. Because I think DC animated movies are actually really good. Like Flashpoint Paradox is really fucking good. If you're kind of like comic book nerdy, I'm not too much, but like I like some. Hold up. But let's see. Regardless, DC movies aside, I'm not here to slander DC movies. They're just kind of there. It's like you got some Marvel movies that are like absolute classics, super fucking good, beyond like really good movies. And then you have some bad ones. Like you definitely have the early ones are really bad. Like some of the Iron Man movies, kind of shit. First Hulk, very shit. But like DC just takes the cake on. They got Justice League. It just kind of is what it is. Like if you have Justice League in your corner, you kind of already lost. That movie was not it. Just not it. Sadly, little unlucky. But let me see. Let me see. Oh, one thing I want to talk about is I watched a video from Tasty. Had Claire from Bon Appetit. I don't know if she's there anymore. Bon Appetit kind of fell apart when their manager was racist. So kind of is what it is. But it's called a croquembouche. It is a like French. It's a French recipe that you normally make around like for celebrations and stuff, but it's just kind of like a tower of cream puff and caramel. Just look up a picture of it, or you can watch a video in the description. I have it linked. It's it's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. I really want to try it, but I guess that's really it. Gonna have little interview with my good friend Benjamin, so get ready for that. Now, I have here with me number one Cyberpunk player in the universe, the only man to equate 100 hours into the game.
117.
117. The only man in the world to have 117 hours into Cyberpunk. Benjamin.
I've literally played this game more than the developers.
Benjamin actually did develop this game. I have the developer of Cyberpunk with me.
Yeah.
Who is the developer of Cyberpunk, actually?
I know it's CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, I know, but like, who's the head of CD Projekt Red? Do you know?
I have no idea. I know that my boy Mike Pondsmith is responsible for the original Cyberpunk IP, though. So big shout out to him.
All right. Well, then that's you. So Michael.
Yeah.
Or Benjamin, whatever you prefer. I figured the only man for the job to talk about Sony pulling Cyberpunk from their PlayStation Store is Cyberpunk himself. So
yes, hello, I am Cyberpunk.
So Cyberpunk, I want you to tell me some good things about Cyberpunk first, because let me tell you, I haven't heard many.
Let me get this out of the way, just like right at the start. Soundtrack fucking bangs.
Can vouch.
Like there is not a single bad song on the entire soundtrack.
I've actually there was Cyberpunk OST, and it was in my recommended, and it was just kind of bangers on bangers. So I can get behind that.
I just put the radio on while I'm driving my little car around sometimes, and like It's kind of like GTA, where you
Mm-hmm.
have like radio stations,
Love to see it.
and yeah, I almost every single one of them, just nothing but bangers.
All right, so bangers on the radio. That's number one.
Okay, let let me just say, this game, like the world, is beautiful. Now, I have gotten fortunate enough to be able to play the game on PC with um I've gotten extremely lucky. One, let me put it out there, to have not really encountered any bugs yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's of course uh just the occasional NPC T pose. I mean, what game doesn't have that at launch?
Yeah, well, a few,
Um,
like
yeah,
some. I remember you streamed it for me, and within 5 minutes, a car fell from the sky, and we were like,
yeah,
"Oh, there must be a parking garage above." There wasn't. It was a glass
no,
building.
no, car just appeared from nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I you will never catch me saying that the game does not have its issues. It has many.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them being performance issues, many of them being just actual bad game design. Um, I really like the game, as I'm sure you can guess from my 117 hours put into it.
Very true. Very true.
Um, I think the greatest thing about this game so far is the world. Whoever whoever the visual designers were that designed the open world and the city itself are they're carrying the entire game. It's ridiculous how just beautiful the world is. I have never once in my entire career as an epic hardcore video gamer
This is you.
just spent time walking around a game world doing nothing but just walking. I've spent probably 20 hours just walking around in Cyberpunk, just looking at things.
Yeah. As someone who hasn't played Cyberpunk, for like literally you can put anything in like a Cyberpunk kind of scenario and I'll play it just because I love that kind of aesthetic. But the game itself, like, is on a PC, on a good running PC, is very visually appealing.
Yes, absolutely. I even sometimes go to the extent of just turning off all of the UI. No
Hmm.
mini map, no quest marker, no health bar, nothing. Just walking around, experiencing the city. And sometimes like you really do just forget that you're playing a game, and then you see like a couple NPCs T posing. But like,
we
I
don't
mean,
worry about it.
when the game actually works, it is beautiful.
Mm.
Now, that's just to talk about the level design and the world, the lore, the story building. It's all fantastic. But then we get into some of the decisions made and some gameplay choices that I find very weird about the game.
Oh,
So,
yeah, yeah. Tell me about the but there was like a secret ending you were trying to get,
okay.
and yeah,
So there is a secret ending where I'm
no
I'm
spoilers, no
going
spoilers.
to yes, I'm going to attempt to keep it as spoiler free as possible. I will only talk about things that have been either shown in trailers up until the release, or just like general gameplay things. So there is a secret ending, right?
Hmm.
Where essentially the plot that you have to wrap up, you need help to like wrap up the plot and like solve the problem at hand.
Hmm.
There is an ending where your character just says, "Fuck it, I'll do it myself." Um, but the only way to trigger this ending is if you are good enough friends with Keanu Reeves' character, but not good enough, but not too close with him. You have to be, you have to be buddies with him. But if you're too close, nah, fuck you. No, no secret ending for
No,
you.
we're best bud. We ain't swapping spit, but like I'll hug you, like that kind of friend, you know.
Yeah. So the way that your relationship with Keanu Reeves develops over the game is that he will regularly appear during crucial moments to like have some cool, quirky John Wick Keanu Reeves thing to say,
Mm.
and then you talk to him, and you can either be an asshole to him or you can try and become friends with him. And I opted to try and become friends with him, despite uh, the situation at hand, which I will not spoil.
Yeah, but it's like
Um,
being friends with Keanu Reeves sounds fun. Why would I not
yeah.
want to be?
So there is a particular scene where Keanu Reeves is feeling pretty down. He's a little down in the dumps,
Mm.
and you have the option to attempt to cheer him up. And given that I had been nothing but friendly with him my entire playthrough, I figured, oh, I'll cheer up my buddy Keanu Reeves now.
Hmm.
Apparently, that is the wrong choice to make if you want to be the right level of friend with him in order to get the secret ending. You're supposed to just be an asshole to him in that one particular scene. You
Oh,
have to be nice to him in every single scene that he shows up in, except for that one scene where you're supposed to be a complete asshole. Otherwise, you can't get the secret ending.
that's kind of annoying, first off. Also, it's so hard to like explain things and like try to be spoiler free when you know exactly like what you're talking about, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm really trying my best.
Yeah, it's like just like
Uh,
dancing around nails. But like,
yeah.
is that the only so for like major like plot thing where you're like, oh, that's just kind of stupid?
No, there's quite a few things that I think were not managed properly.
Yeah.
So, in the original trailer for the game, like the teaser one,
Hmm.
like in 2012,
Way
before
way
they
back.
even started working on the game, yeah, um, that shows like one of the special cops, the Max Tac officers.
Hmm.
So, and I can send you a picture of one of the Max Tac officers real quick.
Are they just like beefy boys?
That's Max Tac. They look pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
They're the super police essentially. They come in and stop like cyber terrorists basically.
Yeah.
Like
Kind of edgy. Kind of like it though.
yeah, really edgy, really cool. The so anyways, Max Tac in the prologue of the game, you're very briefly introduced to Max Tac. You're riding in a car with your buddy Jackie,
Hmm.
and Jackie's just driving you to your house, just bros hanging out,
Hmm.
and you get stopped because there's a police bus taking place in the middle of the road, and this fucking armored flying car swoops in out of nowhere. Super badass. These dudes jump out of it. They look cool as shit. They blast up the criminals. And Jackie's like, oh, this is no regular bust. That's Max Tac. They're the apex predators of Night City. Oh, you don't fuck with them or you die. Max Tac does not show up in the game after that. They show up in one side quest. One. And it is an optional side quest that I accidentally found.
Oh, so just like a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, and they don't even feature in it.
That's so
It's
weird.
it's like and the same thing for the trauma team. So the trauma team is the like like the insurance service in
Hmm.
Night City essentially. If you are under their plan, they will fly out their armored car with like a SWAT team to pick you up if you get hurt.
Oh, okay.
They're super cool. Trauma team is so cool. They show up once in the prologue, and then you just kind of like see them sitting on street corners every once in a while.
It's so disappointing, honestly.
It's You can really tell that a lot of content was cut from this game because they pushed it out before it was ready. And obviously, there's the whole, oh, but they've been working on it for like 8 years. That is not true.
Yeah.
They did not start working on this game until after The Witcher 3 and all of its DLC was done. And even then, in 2018, after they showed like the E3 demo build, they almost completely scrapped what they had in 2018 after they got Keanu Reeves on the project.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the only thing that makes sense because, like, obviously it's unfair to the game because like it had way too much hype surrounding it. Like the game was kind of built up to be like the second coming of Christ. Like this is the greatest game to ever come out, and
it's gonna cure your erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, literally, and it's like the game's gonna flop when you give it that much hype, no matter how good it is. Like it's never gonna live up to that.
This literally could have been the best game of all time, and it still would not have met people's expectations.
Yeah, but at the same time, like just don't put it out yet, man. Like
so here's what my hot take on the situation is. I don't even think it's that hot a take, really. I think it's kind of just like accepted at this point.
Yeah.
So obviously, the developers are not the ones to blame for this. It is the investors, because I cannot think of a single logical reason that they would have released the game in the state that it currently is other than pressure from investors.
Yeah, I mean, you think, like, this is the same developer that came out The Witcher 3, and that is arguably, like, the greatest game of all time. There's no way they'd, like, follow it up with... Because, alright, like you've said, the game has, like, a lot of redeeming qualities, and, like, is a good game, but, like, the main thing of this topic is, like, the PlayStation literally had to pull the game because it is actually unplayable on console.
Yeah, oh, yeah. You physically cannot play this game.
Yeah.
And they promised this game would be playable on current gen hardware. It is not.
Yeah. So like that's the thing, is like they lied about that, and it's like I have a hard time like the developers aren't that dumb, I would imagine. Like there's definitely like way too much pressure on them to, I guess,
release
it out.
It early. Yeah. So here's what I believe happened. So if you were unaware, The Witcher 3 made a lot of money, right? I was actually talking about this with my roommate the other night. Mm-hmm. So I think it comes down to investors, as it almost always does when a game gets released in an unfinished state. Those motherfuckers never learn that putting out a finished product a little later will almost always generate you more money in the long run than rushing out an unfinished product. Because putting out an unfinished product destroys brand loyalty, which CD Projekt Red had a lot of. To put this in perspective, The Witcher 3 was such a good game that earned so much brand loyalty for CDPR that they made back all of the development costs for Cyberpunk on pre-orders alone before the game even came out, which is ridiculous because Cyberpunk is literally one of, if not the most expensive games ever developed. So it is ridiculous that they made back all of the money.
Yeah, it's
before the game was even
That's
out.
Impressive, to be honest. And it's like, I don't want to say to be expected, but kind of. Because it's like, I don't know, they like you said, they had a lot of brand, why am I blanking? Like they're
brand loyalty.
Thank you. I wanted to say reliability. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But just go with it. Say it. Why not? But yeah, it's like it's really a shame because like I know it's not their fault, and like I don't want them to get headhunted for it.
I want this game to be successful because here's the other thing about this game. So obviously, I really like this game, and yet I have a lot of issues with the game.
Yeah.
The thing about this game is I am in love with the potential that this game has.
Yeah.
It is very clear that this game is in an early alpha or beta build, and they've promised that they're going to finish it. They've promised since the release that they are going to fix it. If this game gets the same treatment that No Man's Sky got, I 100% truthfully believe this could be one of the best games of all time.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
As it is right now, it is an extremely buggy but good game that has a lot of performance issues. It is a good game, and that's about all I can say.
Yeah.
But if they add in all the cut content that they didn't have time to get to, all the things that they've promised that are not in the game, I genuinely think this game will be phenomenal.
Yeah. Like, obviously the game got rushed out when it did just because you want to get it out before Christmas, because all little Jimmy's going to want Cyberpunk for Christmas and all that jazz. But it's, I don't know. You got to also consider, like, a good, like, when it was supposed to be released in April and it got moved back to November, December.
Oh, yeah.
It's like all of that was being done during, like, from home, like, because of COVID. And it's like,
yeah, there's so much that you have to take into consideration with how this release went wrong. I think at the end of the day, it does just boil down to investors who can't think more than an hour ahead.
Facts.
Me want money now. Put game out now. Me want money.
Me want money. Yeah, no, literally. Because, I mean, at least the one nice thing is, like, the game's problem is mostly just performance and not, like obviously some of the content.
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of actual problems with the game, too. Like, I haven't even gotten to those yet.
Oh, like in terms of content?
There's a lot of really bad game design in this game.
Ooh, give me a couple examples.
Okay, so you're familiar with GTA, right?
Of course.
Now, I hate that people are comparing this game to GTA.
It's kind of hard to compare. Like, I get because of the like open world aspect to it, but like story wise, nah.
Like, people are saying like, oh, the driving isn't as good as GTA's driving. Auto is in the name of Grand Theft Auto. It's literally a game about stealing cars.
Yeah. Also, you literally make custom maps where you're like driving in the sky and hitting ramps and shit. Like, it's not really comparable.
Yeah, but I think the driving is passable, maybe good. It's very realistic, very like tight. You really have to like slow down before corners, or else you will just fucking crash. It's kind of upsetting.
Yeah.
But, so, anyways, back to my point. So, people are comparing this game to GTA a lot, which is unfair, I think. But you know the wanted system in GTA, right? Like the star system.
Yeah.
How cops work.
Mm-hmm.
So this game has that too. There is a star system for when you commit crimes. However, the way that the police AI works in this game is almost like pathetic. So let me explain just how stupid this is. Like from a programming perspective, because I'm also a programmer.
Big programmer guy.
There is currently no AI for driving. Or let me correct myself. There is an AI for NPCs to drive. Like, NPCs have an AI that allows them to drive and interact with the world and react to things that take place. However, it is so poorly optimized that CD Projekt Red had to just disable it before launch. So every car that you see in the game world is just scripted, following a set path, and then once they follow that set path, they despawn once they're off your screen. So I'm sure you can see how this would lead to an issue with police chases, because how do you script an open world police chase that's not part of a quest? You don't.
Yeah.
So the police cannot get in their cars and chase you down because their AI to do so had to be disabled. So therefore, the only way to get police officers to you when you commit a crime is by just spawning them behind you. So it's actually really, really funny. If you commit a crime and then just spin around really fast, you'll just spawn like 100 cops instantly because they
Really?
spawn behind you outside of your screen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just spin around really fast, you'll actually spawn more cops than if you just stand still. It's ridiculous. And then to top it all off, so the cops almost like insta kill you because obviously the game isn't prepared for you to fight cops. Clearly, so your two options are to just run away or die, basically.
Okay.
Running away is extremely easy. You literally just get in your car and drive for like 2 seconds because they don't have cars. They can't chase you. So it's very easy to evade the cops.
Yeah.
The thing is, the other night, I wanted to see what would happen if I just kept fighting them. So turns out after you kill like 30 of them, they just stop spawning. No matter how much crime you commit, they just don't spawn anymore. I beat the entire city's police force after like 30 cops.
Well, kudos to you, but I really like the idea of just like there's some being that is so powerful that like they literally cannot be contained, and they're just like, well, I guess he can do what he wants.
Oh yeah, that leads me to my character build. So I really like the potential for builds in this game. I think a lot of the skills suck.
Mm-hmm.
Like the perk points suck, and I really don't know how I feel about like the attribute system. I think the whole tech and crafting tree needs to be reworked, but that's besides the point. My character build is currently I'm like a cracked out cyber psycho, essentially.
Sure. I mean IRL too, but like in game.
Yeah, I mean obviously I'm just playing myself in the game.
Well, which is nice because you can feel immersed, and that's like the whole point of the game.
But so I have my character build currently. I'm on my second playthrough right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm about to beat the game for a second time. My character build currently is like a blade build. I'm like an edgy cyber samurai type dude.
Do you got the katana, or you still got like the two arm blade things?
I am using both currently.
Oh, you love to see it.
The mantis blades are a very cool weapon brought down by a very, very bad gameplay design. So I don't know if I've shared my displeasure with this with you yet. There is a function in the game with melee called a melee finisher, where you like do a fatality. Basically.
Yeah, or you just kind of like fuck them up.
Yeah. With the katana, like for instance, you like go into a little cutscene where you chop their head off.
Yeah.
Like
standard stuff.
The mantis blades have this really long, really boring animation where you stab your enemy like through the chest, and then you slowly lift them up above your head and like shake them around. It's really dumb. It's a really long animation. And here's the kicker: you can't control when it triggers or not.
Oh, that's
so every time you kill an enemy with melee, there's just a chance that animation will happen and lock you into place to be shot by every single other enemy.
Yeah,
and there's just nothing you can do to control that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you were invulnerable or not, but that.
Okay, here's the thing. It's like Doom. So while you're doing your little execution, I believe you are invulnerable.
Oh.
However, you're just standing there, and all the enemies are lining up their fucking shots on you. So you just die the second you come out of the animation. It is
good.
The single worst gameplay choice I think I've ever seen. Because they just decided to bind it to heavy attack. And the most effective melee builds are just to run around one-shotting people with heavy attack.
Yeah.
My entire build is a melee one-shot heavy attack build.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
sure you can see the problem. It
oh,
gets even worse. This is the tip of the iceberg.
okay.
So there's obviously cybernetic enhancements in Cyberpunk as per the title, the namesake.
Mm-hmm.
So you can either get like physical enhancements and like all sorts of things, but there's one that's the OS, your operating system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what operating system like part you have slotted in, it allows you to do different things. So some allow you to like hack people and like hack doors open and like connect to camera systems. It's a very cool thing. Like I really like the hacking in this game.
Mm-hmm.
However, my build, it's more effective for me to use one of the other types of operating systems, and I believe it's called the Sandevistan. And what it does is it slows down my character's perception of time, but doesn't slow me down as much as it slows everybody else down. So I can essentially pause time for a couple seconds and just run around chopping people's heads off with my melee weapons.
See, like, that
And then
sounds sick.
it's so cool because when time restarts, they all drop all at once because time has stopped. It's so cool. Here's the thing. If you perform a melee finisher while time is stopped, time just restarts again.
Oh.
It cancels your time stop early. And remember how I said you just can't control when you perform a finisher or not?
Yeah, so it could be like you kill the first guy in there and then it stops and then you're just fucked.
Exactly. That happens so many times. It is melee combat literally just comes down to RNG on whether or not you perform the execution or not. I will sometimes go through 4 encounters in a row, 4 like combat encounters, where I don't see that godforsaken animation a single time. And then sometimes I'll go through a combat encounter where like I did it to all 20 dudes. I stopped and I held all 20 dudes up above my head just because my character wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the finisher idea, it's cool. Like I obviously it's cool. It gives like something new, gives you
It's
something
cool.
cool. But
And yet, here's the thing. There is one finisher animation per weapon. So you just see the same animation over and over and over and over again. Here's the thing. It would be fine if there was like 20 animations or so, or like even just 5 animations. Nah, you just gotta watch the same boring long animation every time you kill someone, if RNG so decides.
yeah, it's definitely like it's cool at first, and then you keep doing it, and it's like, well, I'm kind of just sick of this.
Yeah, exactly. And it really ruins the combat too. Like, I've had to just restart encounters because I died. Because, my character was standing still. Which is really annoying because, like, the combat can work really well sometimes when the game decides to not use finishers. Like, so, the Mantis Blades are unique in the melee system in this game, in that if you charge up a heavy attack and you aim at an enemy, you will lunge at them from a distance. It's like a ranged melee attack. Usually when you do this, you kind of just like praying mantis X scissor an enemy's head off. Like you cross chop their head like to pieces with your praying mantis cyber arms. It's super cool. And so like when you don't get a finisher, you're just running around like a cracked out freak, slowing down time, praying mantising people's heads off. It's super cool. And then sometimes you do a finisher every single time you touch an enemy.
Like it feels like The more you describe it to me, all of it just feels like it's right there with the potential, but it's like just missing the mark.
The best way I can describe this game is it's like it's edging you
Yeah.
for potential. Like it's right there. You can see with almost every aspect of this game what they were going for, and then you can also see that they just ran out of time.
Yeah.
Everything about this game could be so good, and you can see how easily it could be so good, but it's just not.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely one of those things like time will tell. Like I'm hoping like maybe I guess like 3/4 of the way through next year, maybe like the game like hits its peak and it gets in stride, and everyone's like, you know what? I'm sorry I doubted this game, yada yada.
I
But
mean, here's the thing. The Witcher 3 actually had a rough launch too. I don't know if you remember that at all.
I
But
don't
people
actually.
were crying and shitting their pants about the game then, and now it's like it's the Reddit game.
True.
Like if you haven't played The Witcher 3, you're not allowed on Reddit. It's like
Yeah, that's true actually.
um so that game got a lot of shit too. I mean, The Witcher 3 was barely playable on release. This kind of just like seems to be a CD Projekt Red thing. They just release critically acclaimed, really good games in horribly unfinished states, and then just like patch them into playability. Like The Witcher 3 was also unplayable on consoles on release. I don't know if you remembered
Oh,
that
actually,
or
I didn't
not.
know that actually.
Yeah, it was nowhere near as bad as Cyberpunk. Don't get me wrong, but like The
Yes.
Witcher 3 also had a lot of problems on performance. Like if you go back and like search like Reddit or like anywhere on the internet from like when the game first came out, you'd see almost like all of the exact same complaints that you see with Cyberpunk. So I really do have high hopes that people will not give up on this game, because that's what's scariest to me the most. This game has so much potential, and I I'd hate to see it go to waste.
Yeah.
Like, because obviously the game just isn't done yet. It's not like this is the finished product and they released a shitty finished product. It's no, they lied, and this is just the open beta. It's going to get better. They've promised that it will, and realistically, I don't think they can really afford to not improve the game at this point. They'll never sell another game. I
Oh, for
mean, this
sure.
is this is the most backlash I've ever seen for a bad release ever. Like
Yeah.
normally when a game releases in a bad state, you just see a lot of like crying and complaining on Reddit,
Mm-hmm.
which like yeah, there's a lot of that. There is a lot of people pissing themselves on Reddit over this game.
Yeah. I mean,
But like there's actual backlash, like actual real world backlash. Like their CDPR is under threat of being sued right now. Their investors are pissed off at them. The game got pulled from the Sony store. Like there are actual repercussions to this, which terrifies me that maybe they'll just say fuck it, it's not worth it, and then just give up, which I don't want them to do. I want them to carry out their vision for this game. I want to see what this game was originally supposed to be, because I think it'll be fantastic.
yeah, it's definitely time will tell. I think it's like when it gets like a first like big update, that'll be like make or break for it.
Yeah, the man, all the building blocks are there.
Mm.
Like realistically, it should be theoretically impossible for them to fuck this up.
Oh, I know. It's like
All they have to do is add the things that they promised, and then boom, best game of all time. Like actually, like no joke this time.
yeah, it's like you give like an 8-year-old the thing where they gotta put the shapes in the right hole. Like you just gotta put
Yeah,
the square circle with the circle, buddy. That's all it is.
exactly. like I, I was talking about it so much with my roommate Tanner.
Mm-hmm.
Tanner's also playing the game. So his build currently, I actually really like his build. He's like a hacker guy.
Mm.
Tanner can hack someone and like make an entire room of people commit suicide by like hacking their cybernetic implants and forcing them to pull out their guns and shoot themselves in the head.
Yeah, which like sounds metal as fuck, but it's like the fact that that's even possible is just super entertaining.
It's I love watching Tanner play. It is so cool to just because like he has AOE hacks too. So he hacks one person and it's like a virus that like gets into the network and spreads to the people around. He can make people detonate their own grenades. He can make people lose their minds and like attack their friends. There's some really really cool stuff with the hacking in this game.
Mm.
They did a really good job, I think, with like a lot of the ideas present with the game. It's just the execution that leaves you wanting. Like the perk system, I really think 90% of the skills, like the perks in this game, just suck.
Uh, yeah,
They really are just like bad. And there's a lot of them that are just like handguns do 10% more damage.
which is
Headshots do 20% more damage. Yay. It's like and there's a couple that are like really cool perks.
mhm.
Like there's some creative perks in the game. But then there's also just like the hey,
10%, 20%, yada yada. Like
your
just slap it on everything.
negative status effects on enemies last for 2 seconds longer. It's like that's the best you could come up with, really.
Yeah, it's like you already did cool shit. Like keep doing cool shit. Like what do you?
like they clearly have the ideas and the inspiration. It's not like Cyberpunk is an original IP. It's based on the Cyberpunk tabletop game,
Yeah,
which they actually do. I have to give them a lot of credit where credit's due. They're very faithful to that. Like in the lore, there are a lot of like big events that happen
mm-hmm.
that are like actually important plot points of Cyberpunk 2077. Like they really actually followed through on the lore and like were faithful. So like I have to give them props because they brought in the guy who wrote the original tabletop game, Mike Pondsmith,
Yeah.
to like be a consultant. So like they have the like the lore like cracked down. They know how to handle the story, I think.
Yeah, I love that too. I find it interesting how they can. It's like bringing like a tabletop game like into like an actual game, and I think that in itself is very like impressive.
Yeah. Well, I have to agree with you, and then I also have to disagree with you.
With
Because so obviously this has been a pretty big complaint since the game released. It's not as much of an RPG as they were saying it was. So don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be one of those people that says, "Oh, it's basically just Call of Duty." Because there are people that are essentially just calling this like looter shooter Call of Duty.
no,
That's just wrong.
yeah,
That's just blatantly wrong. This is an RPG. It's just it does not give you as much freedom of choice as they would have led you to believe.
Mm.
Ultimately, the whole life path system that you get to pick between Nomad, Street Kid, or Corpo, none of those mean anything.
That's kind of disappointing, but I guess
They-
like,
they-
a lot of games
they-
do that.
Yeah. That choice affects the first 20 minutes of gameplay, maybe. And then like you get some unique dialogue options from that point on.
Yeah, but you still
And
play as like your character is still what's his name V, right? Like you'll always
Yes.
play as that.
And so here's the thing. Here's what I think happened with the life path system. So back in E3 2018, right? Or before they like completely scrapped and restarted the game. They had shown in the character creation that you would have like 3 choices for like childhood hero. And the choices were like Johnny Silverhand, who is Keanu Reeves' character,
Oh, spoiler, man.
who is currently a really important character. Johnny Silverhand was like a really important character in the tabletop RPG.
Oh, okay.
So like,
not a spoiler.
Yeah, he's like a big character in the lore. And then you had Saburo Arasaka, who is like a big like corporate like evil Japanese man. Like really, he's a really cool character actually in the game. Like because he is in the game, very just like cool, very badass.
Yeah.
But so you could choose between Johnny Silverhand, Saburo Arasaka, and I think like Morgan Blackhand, who is another like important lore character. And I believe he's a nomad as well. So basically, originally the life path system was like, okay, Johnny Silverhand, so Street Kid, Saburo Arasaka, Corpo, and then Morgan Blackhand, Nomad, right? So that's where they got Street Kid, Corpo, and Nomad from. However, I believe the original plan was to have 3 entirely separate stories based on which one of those you picked. Because Keanu Reeves' character, he was originally supposed to be not as important to the story. And then I think they said somewhere that they liked working with him so much that they rewrote the entire game to feature Keanu Reeves more.
Which, understandable.
Yeah, like, fair enough. But, like, they literally scrapped 2/3 of the game for Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it makes sense from, like, a development standpoint if you're trying to meet, like, a deadline, which I guess they didn't. But at the same time, like, if that was a thing, you'd think they'd have mentioned it.
Yeah,
I guess.
So here's the thing. So Johnny Silverhand is a very important character in the plot of Cyberpunk 2077, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is very clear that is just the Street Kid life path. And that Corpo and Nomad were supposed to have nothing to do with Johnny Silverhand.
So like I know you said the Corpo dude, he's in the game, but is the Morgan Blackhand dude in the game too?
Not that I've seen.
Okay. So it's essentially no matter who you pick, you're just doing the Street Kid story.
No matter what backstory you pick, you're playing the Street Kid story. Because the Street Kid story, and I started as a Street Kid, so I didn't notice this until my second playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
But the Street Kid story is essentially, I want to be the best mercenary in all of Night City.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, okay, I can get behind that. And then you pick Corpo, and you're some high up like corporate assassin for like 5 minutes, and then you just get fired before the prologue even ends. And then, oh, now my life goal is I want to be in Night City. Haha, hey, it's my buddy Jackie. Haha, hey.
It's my boy. I don't like that. I don't know. Like the fact that you like laid it out for me makes me just like,
yeah,
I guess disappointing.
And then Nomad makes even less sense from what I've seen. You start outside the city, and then like you're a nomad. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess that doesn't really mean anything to you because.
Well, I mean, I know what a nomad is, so.
Well, yeah, but there's like a faction in the game called the Nomads, the Aldecaldos. They're like they're actually really cool. I like them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, essentially you don't interact with them at all. Like you dick around outside the city for like 10 minutes, and then, hey, I'm in the city, gonna meet up with Jackie, gonna be the best mercenary in all of Night City, gonna be a legend, haha.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you pick. It is very clear that they have cut at least 2/3 of the game. They've cut 2 out of 3 storylines, and this shows in the length of the main quest. So people were complaining that the main quest was short, and I didn't see this at all on my first playthrough because I was doing a lot of side quests and I was like just having fun exploring the world.
Hmm.
But on my second playthrough, I did a bunch of side content first. I just like ignored the main story, and then yesterday, literally just yesterday, I was like, I could start on the main story now. So I did the entire main story just like yesterday in like a couple hours.
Yeah.
The main story is literally less than a dozen quests.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is like a rule of thumb or if it's just like our friends group personally, but it's like when we buy a game, you want to at least like $1 an hour kind of thing. Like if I pay $60 for a game, I want to get 60 hours. So
Oh,
like
and there's absolutely at least 60 hours of
yeah,
content here.
but
Just not with the main story.
yeah, and like that's kind of annoying to me. Like obviously if you're like there's a lot of people that aren't completionists, so like they don't give a fuck about side quests. They're just like, what's the main story? I'm going to do it and get it done, and I'll be
Yeah.
done with the game. So like for those people, they're definitely not getting their money's worth.
Yeah. So have you ever played The Witcher 3?
I haven't, but I've watched enough of it to where I can say I know enough about the game.
Okay. It's a really good game. I've beaten it. Here's the thing. The main story in The Witcher 3 is like I believe like 70 hours long.
Yeah.
It's something ridiculous like that. I think it's like at a minimum like 50 hours. It is a long ass main campaign, and I guess people like didn't like that. People like complained about that. So
I guess.
they shortened it for Cyberpunk. I mean, realistically, that's probably not the actual reason. I feel like CDPR has enough like artistic integrity to not just like go, well, people were complaining that the game was too long.
Well, if they don't like 50, they're gonna love 5.
Yeah. Like my first playthrough of The Witcher took like 60 or 70 hours, and I did like no side quests.
Mm.
I did none. Like maybe 10 side quests. My first playthrough of Cyberpunk took like 60 hours, and I did like every side quest.
Yeah.
Like I've done a lot of the content that this game has to offer, and here's the thing. I really like the main story. I like the story that they tell. I only really like the Street Kid version of it. I don't think the Corpo or Nomad versions are like that good. You can really tell that like they didn't put any work into Corpo or Nomad, and that like Street Kid is where it was at.
Yeah, or like that's not how those two should have ended, or like how it should have went, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't even get me started on the endings.
Well, so we're spoiler free, so we won't, but we can talk after if you want.
Yeah. What was I going on about?
I don't know. Street Kid ending.
Street Kid.
Something compared to The Witcher.
Something about the Witcher.
Yeah.
So the Witcher's main storyline, very long. You can really tell that there's a lot of content that's just blatantly missing from Cyberpunk. It's really upsetting.
Yeah.
Like I like the game for what it is. I just constantly have this feeling in the back of my head while I'm playing it, like I could be having so much more fun. The building blocks are there. This could very easily be a much better game than it is.
Yeah. Would you say, like, if anybody wanted to buy it, would you say wait, or would you be like, yeah, try it? I mean, obviously on like console,
wait.
yeah, console definitely don't. I've seen PC like maybe.
If you have a really good computer, I'd say go for it. For reference, I run the game at like 50 to sometimes 60 FPS. Like I really do have it better than most.
Yeah.
I'm running the game on an i5 7600K. It's overclocked to 4.5 and then a GTX 1080. So not like cutting edge hardware. It's a nice PC, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're
But
still
I'm not like out here banging with like the RTX 3080 Ti or anything like that. I'm playing the game and it works. I don't have like ray tracing or like stable 60 FPS, but like the game is more than playable.
Yeah.
If you don't have at least that, don't even try to play the game. Honestly, it's just not worth it. Just wait until they fix it.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: the game will be more enjoyable as time goes on. So, like, if you want to have the best experience with this game, I genuinely recommend that you wait. Wait like a month at the minimum.
Yeah, I'd say wait, but don't give up on it. I'd say.
Exactly. Do not let this game drop off your radar, but don't try to play it unless you're absolutely sure you have a PC that will be able to force it to run well. And even then, you could just get unlucky. Like I said before, I'm running the game and it's playable. I have a pretty good computer. I've gotten exceptionally lucky because there are people that are out there banging with the RTX 3080s that just can't play the game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It really is just a roll of the dice.
Yeah, which is just shitty. I mean, so I guess bottom line, wait on it, but don't give up on it. With the game itself, not optimized well. Unlucky.
No, not optimized well at all.
You can tell content's kind of cut.
There's a lot of cut content.
Yeah, but there are good things in the game. You just gotta wait for them to get flushed out.
I really think that what the game has going for it is such a good foundation to like. I really think they should just come out and say, yeah, never mind, we're changing to this is early access. This is what it should have been from the beginning. I really think they need to do that to like save face at this point, honestly.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Because like this really does just feel like an early access game, a really, really good early access game.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it has a lot of issues and a lot of like core issues that could easily be fixed. But like, a lot of the systems in place will need to be updated, replaced, or removed. And a lot of like the core gameplay systems at that.
Yeah. But only time will tell.
Only time will tell.
Well, thank you, Benjamin, for joining me on the Cyberpunk rant that was mostly you, but I was here happily listening, and I feel like I learned everything. I feel like I played the game.
I have a lot to say about this game. Sorry for kind of just talking at you.
Oh no, I wasn't going to stop you. I was interested in it, so it's not a problem to me. But I was looking at the time and I'm like, how did we get to an hour?
Oh, we've been going for an hour?
Yeah, I'm at 59 minutes and 40 seconds.
I really had a lot to say about Cyberpunk. That's insane.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.